Welcome to another Edgewood update. We haven't made one of these for a while, but we've committed to at least do one a month from here on out. We've been so busy, there's so much happening. We've got Jerrett Perry, the town manager, with us. I'm Jerry Powers, one of the commissioners of the town. And today we're going to try to update you on everything that's happening. It's been such a while since we've done one of these that it's going to take a while to update. But you want to kick it off, Jerry?
Yeah, thanks Commissioner Powers. It sure has been. I was appointed about 8 months ago, and from day one, it seems like we've been going and blowing, trying to beat on a specific mission to achieve the goals. I think we've done a great job, and I think early on we started off with doing a system fidelity check. And those who don't know what that is, it's a deep delve into the mechanism that makes the town operate. And so we really jumped into the middle of the processes of everything from paying our bills on time to paying our vendors to keeping the lights on to make sure that we're maintaining at a high level of operation. So we've done that. We've incorporated some systems, some software. We've engaged in developing some cybersecurity efforts to make sure that our funds are protected and the infrastructure's protected. So I think we've done a good job with that, made a lot of progress.
Yeah, it's amazing, and most people don't know this, but this is going to be your last day today. So this is kind of a celebration for me in a way of everything that you've done and accomplished. And it's been a tremendous amount of work, but the amount of achievement that you've accomplished was amazing. In the beginning, it was so amorphous, so much chaos, and so many systems that had never even been designed. I've been operating in the private sector for years, and you have to have systems, because if somebody walks out the door, you lose all of that ability.
Yeah,
because it's not documented. So you've done a terrific job at doing that.
Well, I appreciate that, and and the reality is we've done that together. I've had you and the rest of the commissioners just hand in hand with trying to develop some troubleshooting efforts, if you will, and bringing in some systems that will create fidelity and that will enable us to go forward in the future. But yeah, we've certainly done this together, and I think it's important for the community to know that there was never an intent for me to be here long term. If you remember correctly, I actually was hired to be a strategic planner. The next thing I know, I'm the town manager. But I feel very blessed. It's been a great opportunity, and we still have work to do. And I'm not going to leave the community in a situation where we struggle to find that historical knowledge that is lost during leadership transition. So. We got work to do, and I'm excited about the work that we're going to continue to do.
Well, I appreciate that. So let's quickly kind of update everybody on where we've got some progress. Would you like to start off with?
Yeah, first of all, we talked about the system fidelity check, but the other thing I'll really want to talk about, and it's not the greatest thing to talk about. I know a lot of people really want to talk about it because, it is what it is, but it's the wastewater treatment plant. And I think it's important for the stakeholders, the people of Edgewood to recognize when I came aboard, I have to be very candid, but the wastewater treatment plant was an absolute disaster. It really was.
Yeah.
It was almost non-functioning, and it was in a state of crisis, a constant state of crisis. So what we did is we did some, again, we incorporated the practicality of system fidelity check. Of course, the historical knowledge that you brought along to help us identify what those issues are. We were able to do that. Since that time, we've been able to stabilize the plant. We've been able to create a critical component list. We've created a maintenance schedule. We have redundancies in all of the critical component list that we have to have, including blowers and pumps and VFDs and the generators and all that. And your leadership has certainly got us to that point. And so now we can hand off the torch and of course working with A.G. Richardson and the folks at BHI and CDMS Smith, the engineers that are going to be able to give us direction on what we need to do next is really important.
Yeah, when we got here, the operational SOP, standard operating procedure, was wait till something breaks, panic, find out that it's going to take 6 months to get apart, and then try to survive it, during this crisis. Yeah. So now, there's critical components that are on the shelf. We have redundancy built in. There are actually maintenance checks that are happening proactively. So it's operating now the way that it should, and now the challenge will be, what is the long-term solution for the best long-term solution for the town?
Absolutely, and that's going to enable us to continue to grow prosperously in the future. And
yeah, that most people don't understand that about the waste plant. Like you said, it's not a sexy subject, but it is what has allowed Edgewood to get the services locally that we need, not have to drive into Albuquerque for everything and have businesses come out here and and have Edgewood prosper.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a lot of celebrations, and I think that you used the analogy of pulling the slingshot back, and that's what we've been doing for the past 8 months, is preparing for what's to come. And the other is just some of the things that we've identified was the ARPA money, and so that was the Recovery Act money that was given to all municipalities throughout the country. They were given to municipalities, and the commissions and boards would decide how to spend those. And it was really, honestly, it was untouched. We found it. And what we've done with that is we've allocated money towards building roads and keeping up with our wastewater treatment plants. So that's a huge win for our community. And that kind of leads down the whole pathway of what we're gonna do with roads. So what we've done with that money is we've bought road equipment, and we've internalized a sustainable road plan so we can actually pave the roads in Edgewood, and that's coming. We're gonna start our first with Appaloosa in a few weeks.
Yeah, that was a great idea, and you and Josh Jantz, I think, brainstormed that idea to have our own equipment, because we have talent here that in our own road department. So what that'll do, so that people understand, it's a very long, cumbersome process to get money out of the state to actually pave roads. And by having our own equipment, we can do it for a third or less of what we could do it for if we had to hire contractors. We've also generated an internal fund.
That's right.
So all these innovations are gonna lead towards self-sufficiency so that Edgewood can build its own roads and can do what it needs to do for the future without having to go through these long, extended wait times from the state agencies.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely right. Let's just rewind just a little bit, and let's go back and let's talk a little bit about the monitoring well and why that's so important.
Well, NMED, the New Mexico Environment Department, wanted us to drill a monitoring well out there by the sewer plant. In case there was contamination, we would eventually know about it. So we've got that underway. It's gone out for bid. We're gonna award the contract next week, I think, and so that well should be drilled probably by the end of next month.
Yeah.
There's a lot of deadlines that are gonna be popping here soon. I know, like you said, pulling back the slingshot, so we're ready to release on all these Appaloosa. Because you've initiated and we've initiated buying this road equipment, we can now go take care of the chip sealing and paving of Appaloosa. We've also got the pedestrian bridge, which has been stymied for years before we even got in office. Resurrected that, got it on the right track. It's going out to bid, so we're gonna get that done before the end of the year. I mean, there's a lot of things happening, and I know we haven't communicated a lot, so I'm glad we're talking about this and letting people know that there are things that are getting ready to pop. We've just been so busy doing all the groundwork and legwork that we haven't talked about it a lot.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that's popped up a lot since I got here was the status of Church Street.
Yeah.
And so Church Street, I mean, when I first got here, the reality is that the DOT stripped us from our money. There was some money that was allocated. It wasn't used for years. And so we had to actually reclaw the reclaw money. And so we've done that, though. And so now we have some money that is actually going to be used to build Church Street. Now, we're going to have to modify the plans. The original design of Church Street, quite honestly, is just not feasible. There's just not monies available unless we want to raise taxes. And I don't believe we want to do that.
No.
So the reality is that we've kind of had to go back and redefine the expectations of Church Street. But we're hoping that that's going to go out for an RFP in the next 60 days or so. And we can start building that road, and that's going to be a huge success.
Right, and then another project is Echo Ridge, which when we got in office, it was already beyond the expiration date on the lease purchase agreement that we had. We can get that property from the BLM just by doing the improvements that we agreed to. We've already done a lot of them in phase one, which were the equestrian gates, some of the road improvements that were done. Next phase is getting ready to happen, and it's going to be the parking area. We're going to have a nice big gravel parking area, enough room for horse trailers. It's going to be a great facility, and at some point we're going to, during this phase two, we'll also include some trail building and ADA accessible trails.
Absolutely, and that kind of goes hand in hand with the other thing that we've done is we're working with the state of New Mexico to get the equestrian center donated. We've officially written the letter, and we're hoping for a donation with that, and that's going to help us tie in all of those open lands and trails. It's part of the comp plan, right?
Exactly, and the comp plan's getting ready to kick off. It'll kick off under our new town manager, Nina McCracken, who we're excited about. And our next update, I'm sure Ms. McCracken will be giving this update.
Yeah, that's great. Talk a little bit about the training facility that we're also working towards with the Santa Fe MOU.
Yeah, we've been working hard with it. Working relationships are so important, intergovernmental working relationships. So we've been working hard with Santa Fe County, and it turns out that they have a tremendous facility down at 5 Martin Road, just east of town. Because of all the extra road equipment we have and we're gonna have to stockpile a lot of road building material, we've outgrown our existing single maintenance facility. So this one is 20 acres, fully fenced. It's got about a 20,000 acre building with bays so that people can park our trucks in there, work on the equipment, all this new equipment that we're gonna have. But also storage, about 10,000 square foot of maintenance. So we've worked out a tentative agreement. We still have to follow through with an MOU or memorandum of understanding to use that facility free for the next few years.
Yeah, going to be exciting.
Yeah.
So the other thing too is when, you brought me on, and I have to go back to the system fidelity check, but in order, part of that is to understand our budget and where we're at financially, and we've been able to identify some funds, build a strong budget for the years to come. And even though America, quite honestly, we're in economic downfall, and it's been challenging for everybody. Finding good quality employees, supply line issues, the list is pretty long, but we've been able to overcome that. And in the process, I think with the commission has set an expectation to have higher standards, and you've been able to really gather some amazing people.
Yeah, I'm so happy with our staff. We have a tremendous team, and that's not always easy to put together. And the working relationships, the way that you've interacted with the staff, because the town manager is really, that's over all the administrative duties. But I mean, the morale has changed a lot since you've gotten here and had these weekly staff meetings.
Well, and we've passed the baton to Nina McCracken, yeah. She is from Edgewood. This is her people, this is her community, and she loves it, and she has a vision, and I think it's a perfect handoff.
Yeah.
But going back to that whole budget issue, I mean, one of the other things that you need to be proud of, and I can give Commissioner Donner credit for this, is that he went after HB 505, and now you got $1.3 million to allocate towards Venus Park. Talk about that a little bit. That's awesome.
Yeah, we're just in the beginning stages. We just had the money allocated, so we're in the beginning stages of doing a conceptual plan. Mm-hmm. And that could include, another field, another soccer field. It could include improved parking, improved ADA parking. It might even include a splash pad for the kids. So it may include some bleachers, we're not sure yet. And eventually I'd like to get some toilets there. We need to really
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's time to really focus in on quality of life components for our community.
Exactly.
And so it kind of goes along too, like the ATV ordinance. That's a huge deal, and that not every municipality has that, and has the forethought from commissioners to bring that to the attention. So how did that come about?
Well, it's like there's a certain quality of life in Edgewood. Every place has its own character. It's a pretty big equestrian community, and definitely people want to be outside here. It's such a beautiful area. Absolutely. So the state enacted a statute that would take away the rights of anybody to run ATVs on the roads inside cities or counties, unless the city or county had an ordinance that regulated them and enabled it. So we put that forward and passed it probably about a month and a half ago. So now it's legal to run ATVs on the streets. But please read the ordinance, because it's under certain conditions you have to have the normal safety equipment like headlights, taillights, and license.
Absolutely. I mean, all that stuff is cool. And, kind of talking about the quality of life and our culture that we have goes back to our Parks and Rec. So it's the first time in the history of Edgewood that we actually have a full-time Parks and Rec manager, and he's got big plans. He's going to bring movie nights. He wants to, he wants to do stuff for kids. He wants to support our seniors, our veterans. I mean, there's all kinds of great events. I heard him talking the other day that he really wants to make the 4th of July 100 times better than it was this year. And I think that's exciting.
And this isn't out there yet, but there is going to be an annular eclipse, solar eclipse, on October 14th of this year, and there's already something in the works that you'll hear more about in the next updates.
Yeah, so I think that all of the components are here. They're laid for the next generation to take it to the next level, and I think it's important for our community to know what we have done over the last 8 months, and then prepare for really some developments in the next few months, actually.
Yeah, it's all kind of coming to fruition. We've only been in office about 18 months, this administration, but that's a tremendous amount to get done in 18 months. And the lead time is usually 4 years to 6 years.
Yeah,
for that kind of
absolutely,
stuff.
absolutely. The last thing I want to talk about is I want to talk, Commissioner Anaya brought forward how to utilize the marijuana tax.
Yeah.
And so he brought that to the commission, and the reality is that there is gross receipts tax that comes along with marijuana sales, and what the commission has decided to do is use that tax to take down dilapidated structures, and I think that's an amazing concept. And so I think that's another thing, another development that the community is going to see very quickly is taking down some of those unwanted structures. That's exciting.
Yeah, and really, there was a great idea that you had brainstormed in one of your sessions, I know in one of the staff meetings, is that we have people in our road department that have done building demolition and reclamation. So we can actually, instead of going out to expensive contractors and having to go through the long process of procurement and bid openings, we can do that with our own road department.
Absolutely.
For about a quarter to a third of the cost that it would cost us to go out. So the efficiency that's been planned into what's happening in operations in town hall is a real accomplishment. I want to thank you for that.
I appreciate that. It's definitely, it's a team concept, and the synergy has been just absolutely amazing, and it's growing. It's gonna be good. I'm very excited to see the future of Edgewood as it develops.
Well, I'm glad we got this time to kind of update people on what happened and what you've been up to. I know a lot of people have been curious about what's been happening, because more than talking about it, we've been doing it, but we need to
Absolutely.
communicate more. So hopefully we'll have these under the new town manager about every month or so, at least to update people on what's happening.
Absolutely. Maybe we can get her in front of the cameras in the next couple of weeks.
And maybe you'll come back and do one of these with us, just
Yeah,
ex parte.
I don't think you're going to be able to get rid of me that easily.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Thanks.